What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live auction fantasy football mock draft for you. This time, we're going to be doing it on Yahoo, so it should be pretty interesting. It's going to be a 12-team half PPR format, and that's really all there is to it. I'm going to let this draft come to me, so it'll be interesting. I'm not going into it with any set strategy. I'll talk some of my favorite things to do when it comes to these types of drafts in general. So hopefully you guys can get the most use out of it. And while we go through it, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at All Day Pigskin. Let us hear it in the comment section. I'll try and do my best to answer any and all questions you guys might have. And lastly, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Has everything you can want at a great value. Top 150 overall player rankings in standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. All the details in the description. But with that being said, let's check it out here because we actually had one player already nominated and drafted. That was Rashad Penny. So this is one of my big red flags right away, because I would say right now, Rashad Penny is, kind of one of these boom or bust guys. He's not a super big name, but he's a dude that maybe you want to take a flyer on later on. Also, right now, it's our turn to make a nomination. So I'll just nominate somebody that I know I don't want any really interest in, but that's going to be very expensive. That's what I always kind of advise people to do. So you force other individuals to spend their funds. So afterwards, you can throw your weight around a little bit more so and dominate the bidding action. But look, this is kind of the perfect segue back into the whole Rashad Penny situation. Because with Rashad Penny, if he's in that category for you of late round guys that you love and you love taking a chance on, don't nominate them early. If you think about it, one of those guys, there's a good chance that somebody else could like, but even if not, when are people more likely to spend the most amount of money? Well, typically it's when they have the most amount of money, and the start of the draft is that time, unquestionably so. And with that being the case, I think you're much more likely to get a better value on Rashad Penny later on. He just went for $22. That was crazy. I think if you waited another 20, 30 minutes or, however you want to time it, whether 30, 40 more draft picks, whatever, he could have gone for half that price. So that's just something to point out. And I will say this episode, this auction draft mock, we've done the majority of these so far on Fantasy Pros, just so we can kind of, have it be a little bit of a quicker breakdown. But folks, buckle in for this one because it's gonna be a little bit of a longer video, I would guess, probably 40 plus minutes, because it's a full, first of all, auction draft, so people are going to be going back and forth. It's not just computers, and I want you guys to get a little bit more out of it as well. So we're going to be talking a bunch of strategy, a bunch of things like that. And so far, other than some of these other nominations, we've seen Lamar Jackson went for $28. I'd personally never pay that much for a quarterback. Derrick Henry went for $60. All things considered, might end up being a good value. Jonathan Taylor went for $72. So he's going to be the most expensive player. Right now, Christian McCaffrey is going to go for, I was thinking about putting in $1 on him, but he went for $10 less than Jonathan Taylor. I think considering that the majority of people have Taylor and Christian McCaffrey as their 1 or 2 respectively in their ranks, both tier 1 guys, getting McCaffrey for $10 less than Jonathan Taylor is a steal. Or just a better value. Let's put it that way. So for that reason, I'd much rather, especially in auction drafts, $10 could be a huge difference. It could be the difference between, being able to land, one of those breakouts that you really like and outbidding one of your league mates or whatever the case might be. Hell, even $1 or $2 could be the difference in that. So $10 is even completely possible to do, potentially upgrade, let's say an RB2 into an RB1. So a lot of things to think about here. Basically in auction drafts, this is why I like them so much. There's a lot more strategy that goes into it, and it really goes into money management, managing your budget, but also being able to identify those sleepers, those type of guys here can be such a huge difference maker. Because if you've done your research, you've done all that stuff, and you load up on some of those guys, then you're still going to have money left over on some elite talent, and that's going to potentially put you in the driver's seat. Now, we just saw Cooper Kupp go for $64. Austin Eckler went for $69. That's insane. $3 less than Jonathan Taylor. I imagine he's going to be the second most expensive player. We just saw Aaron Jones get nominated. So he's a guy that I really like personally. And I want to see how far this goes up in terms of pricing, in terms of how much, how comfortable I would be in, drafting him, things like that. I think $43 is a good price. I really do. It's going to be $20 less than Christian McCaffrey. I'd be all right having Aaron Jones as my RB1 in PPR formats. He, I think, is arguably like a top 10 running back, if not a top 5 running back without Devontae Adams. So I'm going to throw a couple dollars in this one. Like I said before, I'm going to let this draft come to me. Just go after some players that I like. It's interesting to see here, we're not necessarily going down the list of most expensive players, which sometimes is good, sometimes is bad. But I will also say, there's a lot of there's 3 main strategies, right? So you can be super, super aggressive. So basically kind of blow your funds right away on 2 super expensive players. The way I like to think about it is guys, 2 first-round talents. So whether it's like a Cooper Kupp and an Austin Eckler, problem is then you're going to have $50 left. You can be conservative, so you can wait until the majority of everybody has spent a lot of money, and then you're in the driver's seat, and you can clean up on high-end RB2s, high-end wide receiver 2s with big upside. So basically loading up on a lot of really good 3rd and 4th rounders if you think about it in a snake draft type of mentality. And then you can be kind of, moderate, I guess, where you just, if you follow that same snake draft format, you take 1 first rounder, 1 second rounder, 1 third rounder. But typically in these auction drafts, you do need at least 1 stud. So I don't like to be too conservative unless I'm specifically breaking it down for a strategy or something like that. And I like to be somewhere in between moderate and then aggressive. And right now, I think we probably got a good value for Aaron Jones, $45. I'm happy with that. Guys like Devin Singletary going for 23 is insane. Dalvin Cook went for 57, so $12 more than Aaron Jones. I think you can expect potentially similar things from them. In fact, Aaron Jones could finish higher than Dalvin Cook in PPR formats. That wouldn't shock me one bit. Travis Kelce went for $41. Justin Jefferson went for 66. Devin Singletary for 23. So, yeah, I think right now I'm just going to, like I said before, take this draft 1 nomination at a time. If I see some player that's a really, really good value, I'm going to get in on it. I'm going to highlight it for you guys because, it's okay being conservative and, being able to dominate the bidding process. But the problem there is if somebody else is also deciding to be conservative with their funds, then, that strategy can really backfire on you because you can end up getting in a bidding war, just you and another person. That's all it takes. 1 more person over, let's say, an RB2 type of guy, or the last RB1 in whatever tier you have. And that player might end up, even though their suggested price, let's say, is $40, they might go for 55 because you and that other team are desperate and both, need to make a splash at the running back position. So that's, in those situations, it can backfire. It was our turn to nominate somebody. Again, I nominated somebody that I don't really want. Still rather expensive, Najee Harris. He went for $60. So, that's almost a third of your budget there. So I'm glad we're making other people spend their money. Let's see how many more individuals here are left at $200. So there's two other people that are at $200. Otherwise, we are in fourth place in terms of how much money we have. So not a bad place to be. Definitely not a bad place to be. We do have, I think it's at this point, a couple of people that have gone on auto pick, but that's all right. I think this is still going to be a very, very kind of realistic and useful breakdown because still we have the majority of people in this mock draft drafting, not making dumb decisions or anything like that. I haven't seen anything too crazy. So, I think that we're doing all right so far. Stephon Diggs going for $50. That's a pretty good deal, I will say. I think he's going to be like a top 5 wide receiver. So especially in PPR type of formats, I think that is a good value. I could have gotten in on him, but Antonio Gibson, not somebody that I'm really all that in on. I'm worried about the committee situation there, so I'm just staying away from Antonio Gibson. And yeah, right now, what I'm hoping we can do is nab somebody like a Saquon Barkley. Like, I don't think that Saquon Barkley is really going to go for $35. If I got him for like under 45, I'd be very, very happy. So I have Aaron Jones and Saquon Barkley. Then we get like, a upper echelon-ish wide receiver. We're doing pretty well. Now, Alvin Kamara is going to be a very interesting case study, especially in auction drafts, because again, what happens with that suspension? If it's nothing special, and if it's just like 3 games, even though the information still hasn't come out, $39 is going to be an absolute steal. Like last year, he was going in like that upper echelon of top 3, top 4 running backs, which usually translates to about $60 a pop. Now, again, I should say, you're watching this on the Yahoo platform, but there's obviously so many other different platforms and so many different setups for auction drafts. But, I'd say the majority of setups, settings-wise, are around $200 in terms of how much you have for your budget. And, like a top-end running back going for between $60 and $70, something like that, just to put a price point to it. So Joe Mixon just went for $54. Kamara going for $39 is an absolute steal. Like, he only went for $2 more than Antonio Gibson. He went for cheaper than Aaron Jones. So again, that's a person that's taking a risk there. But I think at that price, it's not too bad, honestly. I don't. So kudos to them. If Kamara only misses like 3 games, that's going to be one of the best values. And that's the nice thing about these auction drafts. You can really, really take advantage of some players that are like injured or suspended. And I think right now, also with Kamara, a lot of people are panicking and just not certain what to do with him. And we're going to break that down in terms of what our suggestions are in another separate video. But yeah, $39 for Alvin Kamara is a good value because normally he'd be in like that 50+ range easily. Tua just got nominated. He's going to go for around $6. Devontae Adams just went for 53. So I'd say at this point, pretty much the top end wide receivers are all off the board. We had Devontae, we had Diggs, we had Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson. So those guys are off the board. Now we're looking at the likes of, Keenan Allen, who I really like, Mike Evans, depending on what happens with Chris Godwin, a T. Higgins. There's a lot of names still out there. Nick Chubb right now could go for, I was going to say under $50 would be a pretty decent value. But again, he continues to be a guy that I'm not all that in on for fantasy purposes because, with Kareem Hunt still there, Nick Chubb's just never going to be that pass-catching dual-threat running back. And that's a big negative for fantasy purposes. So I can't really trust a kind of just pure rusher that's not going to have a high floor or super high ceiling due to pass catching abilities as my consistent RB1. Mark Andrews here going for around the $33 mark. There's a lot of other tight ends that I really like, so not too worried about this one. Yeah, he goes for $33. Javonte Williams. This is what I like to see. It's starting to pick up a little bit, by the way, and that's always a good thing. Hopefully make this video a little bit shorter. Now, because it is an auction draft, I will say I'm going to mainly focus on getting our starting roster taken care of. Like, this video is already probably going to be 50-ish minutes. No need for it to be like 2 hours. You know what I mean? So, apologies there if that's what you were hoping to see. But I think in these auction drafts, it's kind of easy to see why we go with this approach. I think people kind of watch to see how you bid, how you construct the roster, and how you value these players compared to the platform pricing. So hopefully that's the case here, and I'm able to shed a light on it. Miles Sanders here going for $24 could be a decent value, but again, I would have liked to have seen him last a little bit longer. But it seems like the group of individuals we're drafting with, not really paying attention to the rankings here, in terms of highest to lowest. They're just kind of nominating players that they like. And, I think that could be a rookie mistake from time to time. I broke it down with Rashad Penny. Just wait for those players to get nominated. Don't jump the gun. Chances are you can get a better value on them later on. So that's my 2 cents on that there. Because, right now, guys like, let's see, DeAndre Swift, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans still on the board. So they're going to go for like twice as much as what Miles Sanders went. CeeDee Lamb here going for around $49. Yeah, okay, so it's our turn to nominate a player, and what I'm going to do here is, again, continue our approach. Nominate expensive players that we don't like. Let's nominate Deebo Samuel. So I'm out on Deebo Samuel this year. I've said it before. I think the potential of Trey Lance there for a full season, for the majority of the season, is a scary thought, and it's going to diminish the upside for all pass catchers, for rushers. So Deebo Samuel, to me, I don't think we're going to see a repeat performance of last season. So there you go. That's why I'm staying away from him this year for the 49ers. And I would say, other players with similar concerns, I have somebody like a Cam Akers. I was actually debating nominating him or a Deebo Samuel. But yeah, just nominate those players that you don't like. That's the beauty about the auction draft. Theoretically, you can get all the players that you want. All those guys that are in a strength draft, somebody just barely, kind of snipes you on. Here, that's not a thing. As long as you're willing to pay enough, you can land the player of your dreams. And I love that, that idea. So that's why these auction drafts are so fun. And honestly, why I think sometimes I prefer them over the snake drafts. In fact, my highest, money league is an auction draft type of league. But it's also, one of those leagues where it really, really helps if you know the people that you're drafting with. Because, really any single advantage you get can be big. Mike Evans also just went for $36. I kind of let that, go by me. But that's a good value. That's definitely a good value there. I should have gotten in on that one. And, I would have been very, very happy with him at $36 for my wide receiver one. Yeah, I like the next best wide receiver, probably a Keenan Allen. After that, somebody like a Michael Pittman. I do like DeAndre Swift here as well. I'm curious how much he goes for. Is he going to go for like less than 45? I'll offer 41 and see what it looks like. The tough part is I'm in a kind of bidding war, if you will, with never mind. I was going to say with an auto picker. So this got up to $48. We're going to sit that one out. I would be very happy with a trio of Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, and then Travis Etienne. And again, auction drafts, again, going back to it, I think one of the main things about them that I really enjoy is that here, having a strategy going into the draft is almost a must. And for that reason, it's not like if you go into a snake draft with a set strategy, like you go 0 running back, 0 wide receiver, it's usually a recipe for disaster. But in snake drafts, that's how you do the best typically. Now, also notice Saquon Barkley was nominated. He is going for well over, and I mean well over the value, the suggested value. And I've said this before in snake drafts. He's undervalued, but people they're going to be tantalized by the big name. And, right now, if you want to get him, it's going to cost you $50. So I'd rather just go with Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's a good value, and let these other guys pay $51 for Saquon Barkley. I'm all right with it. I'm not too worried. And yeah, I mean, because this has gotten up to $53, pretty crazy. 54, 55. Yeah, and again, I think with these auction drafts, this is the perfect scenario. Like I mentioned before, my perfect trio was Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne. It's good to know when, yes, you can theoretically land any player that you want as long as you have the funds, but it's good to know when like a bidding war has erupted and it's just becoming too expensive, and you're better off just stepping away. Because again, this goes back to going into these auction drafts with a set strategy. Having multiple players, backups to the backups of guys that you would be okay with, so that if you lose out on one of them because there's a dumb bidding war, then you'll still be happy with your roster and get the plan B or the plan C. So Saquon Barkley going for $55. I did think it would be more for his projected value or for his average value. I didn't think it would be $20 more though. So you know what I mean? It's a situation where I was okay just letting somebody else run with it. Now we're still at 155 in terms of budget. I want to take a look at this again because we are now in first place in terms of our funds. And the next closest person is at $140. We've got someone at $136. Let's see how many people are under $100. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the majority of the league is already at under $100. That's good for us. It's going to let us, for these still guys that are very, very good values, be able to potentially help us win those, bidding wars. Here, Leonard Fournette is nominated. He's an interesting guy. I feel like right now people are down on him because, going to camp, his weight's an issue, supposedly. If that leads to a major discount, then, yeah, I mean, I'll jump on it. He's still going to be the main running back for a Tom Brady-led offense, which very, very valuable. So, I think Fournette can still be a big-time value here, depending on how other people perceive that news about him and, those potential weight concerns. I'll throw in $1 here. Let's go 37. But it seems like there's already a bit of a bidding war on Leonard Fournette. I guess, let him go for $38. That's a good value. I could have driven that up a little bit, honestly, more. But now what we see is yet another person goes under $100 and down to $58. They're not going to be able to be that active. So that's continues to be another win for us. Leonard Fournette's not somebody that I must have. So we're just going to continue to tread on and look at other players, start to fill out the roster a little bit here. A little bit more so. And that's the thing about these auction drafts. Sometimes it can be a little bit slower paced because unless you're just in and out real quick and just build, your roster with the top guys, it can be a span of what? I think since we drafted Aaron Jones and, up until this point, it's been like maybe 20-ish minutes and we still haven't made another pick. So it can be a little bit slower from time to time. Tyreek Hill just went for $34. Let's go here, though. Zeke is a guy that I said was a very good value, somebody that I'd like to get on in terms of that value. We have the most amount of money, so we're at a good spot. And I think it's going to be between me and Team One in terms of, getting him for that value or, one of these dumb auto pickers. But we've got, the highest bid right now at $18. If I get Zeke at $18, are you kidding me? That is insane. But no, I didn't think that would happen. That would have been a gross mistake by the rest of this league if that were the case. And it seems like, me and this other individual are going to get back into it, back and forth a little bit. And I'm all right with that. Zeke, he's projected values at like $33. And he's also going to be in that Saquon Barkley category, folks. Like I said before, It's going to be a big name where people get, a little bit curious. They recognize the name and be like, okay, I got to get in on this. This seems a little bit crazy. And I do think he's undervalued. So, I'm very, very happy to get in on this here. I'd be all right paying $40 for Ezekiel Elliott. I really would. Now, would I rather pay like 35? Yeah, of course. Of course I would. But it's not always possible. Again, Saquon Barkley went for 55. Just a quick reminder. Last year, Ezekiel Elliott was playing hurt. So, let's not forget some of those details here, folks. Again, and this is, again, one of those situations where, notice, I am in, again, call it a bidding war, call it whatever you want, with the person that has the second most amount of money left. We've both probably been conservative up until this point. He only has one player drafted. I only have one player drafted. So I'm going to offer $47. That's probably as high as I'll go. And then we'll leave it at that. Yeah. I mean, I got Aaron Jones for 45, Zeke for 47. Yeah, we win that. Again, I wish I got him for cheaper, but he went for $10 more than his projected value. Saquon went for $20 more than his projected value. I think I got a good deal on Aaron Jones. So it's one of those situations where it balances out. I still really like the potential of Zeke. I think he can be a borderline top 10 running back. So I'm not scared off by Tony Pollard like some other people are. So I'm very, very happy to get Zeke, even though it was a little bit of an overpay. But again, this goes back to how confident are you in your budget management and in general with the strategies that you go into these auction drafts with. And me personally, I am fairly confident. So yeah, let's continue this run. Michael Pittman here going to go for right around $30, I would imagine. That's the leading offer right now. I was curious to see where he'd come in at, but yeah, it's right around that $30 value. And if he was low 20s, I would have gotten in on it, but that's not the case. There's still other players that I really, really like. I'm going to start nominating guys again. It'll be our turn soon that I don't want, that I have no interest in. A.J. Brown, Cam Akers, an early expensive quarterback a la Josh Allen, guys like Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins. There goes Josh Allen. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Him going for like $20+. There's so many other quarterbacks that, are going to be just fine that you can get for just a fraction of the cost. So quarterback is never something I'm going to pay up for especially in an auction format. That's as simple as it is. Now we have $108 here. Let's take another quick look at these funds. We are now in second place after we drafted Ezekiel. There's a person that has 136. Elijah Moore was just nominated. I think he'll probably go for around that $14 value. That was just auto bid on him. That's okay. Let's remove our finger from the offer button. And we're going to be able to make a nomination here pretty soon. And again, like I said before, the guy that I'm hoping to nominate is going to be Cam Akers to, just make people draft like basically the next highest ranked running back that I just have zero belief in. Again, it's not that far removed from an Achilles injury, which is never a good thing. Aaron Rodgers was just nominated. That's funny. It's one of these situations where at this point, the one crappy thing here is if you have somebody that's, an auto that joined but then left and now is like an auto draft that still has a decent amount of funds left, they're pretty much going to spike up the price for anyone that's nominated, which sometimes it can work to your benefits, but yeah, we'll see. So automatically this goes up to $19, but I think Cam Akers is definitely going to go for at least over $25. So hopefully 30, honestly. Hopefully we get to that $35 mark. I would be very, very happy with that. Yeah, and we're getting to 34. Exactly. This is exactly what I wanted to see. 36, 37. I don't know how many times I have to say it with Cam Akers. He's in a situation where there's a lot of other running backs there. Last year he was clearly rushed, and it's a serious injury, the Achilles injury. So Cam Akers, unless everyone else literally around him is like injured and unavailable, then I still think the Rams would add somebody. But like that's the only scenario where I would just be interested in Cam Akers, and I still would prefer not to take him. Keenan Allen was just nominated. I'm curious how expensive he will be. I still think right now the best value on wide receiver was Mike Evans. He went for $36. Yeah, that was a really, really good value. Unless Keenan Allen here goes for like $30, but I don't think that'll be the case. I'll put $1 on him. Just test the waters. Yeah. Yeah, I think right now he would be my next highest ranked wide receiver. I'll throw another dollar at it, and at 34 here, I'm be okay with him in a PPR format to be my wide receiver one. If it gets to above 34, then I'm okay sitting it out. But no, we got him at 34, so I feel good about this. I think right now we're just kind of taking it, if you will, if it would be like a normal type of snake draft. Maybe a little bit more conservatively, because we got Aaron Jones maybe like as your first rounder. Keenan Allen is like that second round type of guy. Zeke is a third rounder if you equate it to that. Maybe, I'm a little bit off on that comparison. But, what we're going to be able to do in turn is get a very, very good bench, in my opinion, if we went all the way through this thing. Now, David Montgomery is the next guy that's nominated. He's going to go for, I would imagine, right around this amount. Good value, all things considered. Yeah, $33. I got Ezekiel Elliott for 47. I wouldn't be shocked if Montgomery finishes as a top 15 running back. Could be a good value. Josh Jacobs, somebody that I'm out on. I just think there's so many things in Las Vegas with all those other running backs. I think his pass catching upside is going to go way down. So I'm out on him this season. I think he's going to return to just a purely rushing type of running back where the pass catching upside isn't necessarily there. So that has me worried, needless to say. Now, yeah, so Josh Jacobs just went for $22. Let's see who else is left here in terms of some like big names. I'm waiting for AJ Brown to get nominated. I'm waiting for J.K. Dobbins, Kyle Pitts, guys like a Justin Herbert, a James Conner. I think we already mentioned him. Travis Etienne is a name that's sneaking up here. And yeah, DJ Moore was just nominated. So it's a situation where I think, unfortunately, more and more people are kind of going on auto pick. So maybe that's going back and forth from it, slowing us down a little bit. We'll see if we can, kind of shorten this video and via editing a little bit. I think that's always helpful, especially with these longer breakdowns. Patrick Mahomes was just nominated. He's going to go, I would imagine, for around $20. If he doesn't, I think that's a good value for him. But yeah, he's going to get up to that mark. So yeah, it's okay. I'd be so much more comfortable drafting a Matthew Stafford for probably like $6, $7, something like that, after everyone's already spent their money, than drafting Patrick Mahomes for almost $20 at this stage of the draft. So yeah, he went for $18, but also the fact that I think Josh Allen went for like $30-ish. Let's see if I can find the history on that. Lamar Jackson went for 28. Where are you, Josh Allen? We might have already passed him. Let's see. Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Josh Allen, Tua. I see Tua. I don't see Josh Allen, weirdly enough. Okay, Josh Allen went for $33, so he's going to be the highest priced quarterback. But yeah, you got Patrick Mahomes for almost half of what Josh Allen went for. I think that's very, very good value. So that's one way to look at it. But I still wouldn't want to pay that much for my quarterback. Breece Hall here going to go for right around $19. I'm out on him. I just don't like the Jets situation. James Conner is the next guy that's being nominated. So let's see what happens here. Also, let's see what our funds are at. We're at $74. There's one individual that has over $100. That's team one. And then somebody that has 98, so basically at the $100 mark. But other than that, what place are we in? there are three teams that have more money than us. So, yeah, I mean, we're in a good spot. I still think we're in a good spot. We'll make a couple more draft picks here. I think ideally for like the video purposes, this is where kind of I'd like to see some people that I want to target be nominated so we can compile the team, give it a grade because, I mean, we only have, like you can see, 3 players on our team. We can't give it a grade at this point in time at all. And A.J. Brown, finally he gets nominated, makes somebody spend some, hopefully a decent chunk of change. Yeah, hopefully we get to that $30 mark. That would make me very, very happy so that other people, again, continue to spend their funds on players that we think are going to be bust candidates. That's basically what it boils down to, or just players that we don't have ranked as high as, the Yahoo platform. But in A.J. Brown, I think he's potentially like a bust candidate this year. So, yeah, he's going to go for $31. Perfect. That's exactly what I like to see, and it's going to be via one of the people that has more money than us. So that was absolutely the perfect scenario. So, yeah, we've got 3 players. Travis Etienne is the next guy that I really, really want. As far as wide receivers, I'm looking at it. Terry McLaurin. Yeah, I love Allen Robinson at his current value. I think at this point, just to hopefully, again, make this video a little bit shorter, I'm going to, again, I'm telling you guys, going to stray away from what I preach, and that's nominating players that you don't necessarily want and nominate guys that I want to add to my team. So again, this video isn't super, super long, and we're waiting like 11 turns every single time we make or like 12 plus until we make another nomination. So Kyle Pitts just went for $19. Okay. He's, like I said before, he's going to be a hot name. Kyle Pitts. But I think we've also officially gotten to the territory where, you're going to start to see discount on players. Like the majority, like the average amount of money that people have left at this point in time is around $50. And yeah, I mean, there's still guys with projected values of like mid 20s. So there's going to be some good value there. Dak just went for $7. Again, Dak Prescott at $7. It's compared to, like, I know he's not in the same category as Patrick Mahomes. So, but let's say like a Kyler Murray. I think whatever Kyler Murray goes for is going to be a much better value than Josh Allen or Lamar or probably even Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah. Let's see who's nominated here. I'm guessing since it might be on auto pick, it might be Travis Etienne. All right, let's go. Let's put our big boy pants on. We're getting in on this one, and we are going to land Travis Etienne here. No questions asked. At least I hope. You can never predict it here with these auction drafts how it's going to play out and what's going to get into the mind of your competition. So yeah, see, there's another person here right here with $62. Seems like they're pretty high on Travis Etienne. I imagine it's going to be between me and him in terms of who lands Etienne right now. Come on, 2-1, let's go. Yes, and we get Travis Etienne. Very, very happy about that. I'm going to nominate a player that I like here in, a Terry McLaurin. Let's see what he goes for. We're down to $57, but we've already got 3 running backs. We've got our flex position taken care of. We've got a good wide receiver one in Keenan Allen. I'll offer $15 or $16 for Terry McLaurin. Sure, no problem. Yeah, I have 0 issues with that. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to be, yeah, okay, it might get a little bit outside. Oh, geez, I didn't even notice when that thing got down to 0. So he went for $17, actually a good value. Yeah, all things considered. I just kind of let that one get away from me, which, again, hey, even we make mistakes here from time to time. Always pay attention to that clock. I feel like that's worth mentioning every single time. But, I cut myself a little bit of slack here because, again, it's an auction draft, and I don't really, at this point in time, I'm not too worried about it. Don't have, I guess, as much writing on it as if it's the real deal. But yeah, no, always pay attention to how much time is remaining. So Deontay Johnson went for $14. Good value. Very, very good value. I personally am not on the Deontay Johnson hype train this year, but that's just me. That's just me. So that is what it is. But overall, yeah, I like the way this thing is playing out. We've got 4 players drafted: Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, Travis Etienne. George Kittle here is going to go for around the $16 mark. Ooh, I couldn't get in on that a little too slow, a little too slow, but I think he would have been a good value there. J.K. Dobbins. So yeah, we're not gonna invest in J.K. Dobbins here. Guys that I'm looking at, wide receiver Allen Robinson, Rashad Bateman. Ooh, Rashad Bateman's a good choice. Rashad Bateman is definitely a good choice. Yeah. And yeah, I'm not too worried about running back right now. We've got 3 of them, like I mentioned before. So yeah, let J.K. Dobbins go somewhere else. Mike Williams, we've already got Keenan Allen. Normally I'd say it's an interesting value, but we've already got Keenan Allen. But all things considered, I think Mike Williams is another one of those very good examples. Like Keenan Allen went for $34. Mike Williams is going to go for, oh my God, so much less than that. That's a tremendous value. He went for $13. That's one of the steals we could have waited on, but I decided to get Keenan Allen 14. AJ Dillon I'm out on. So we're just going to wait. We're going to wait and let this thing play out a little bit. Right now, maybe I can just kind of at least wrap up our starting roster. I like our running backs. I think if we're breaking it out by positional group, our running backs getting B+ grade, B+, A- type of grade. At wide receiver, we have just for now Keenan Allen, but we're gonna add to it. Don't worry, we're gonna add to it. Guys like Allen Robinson, guys like Brendan Cooks, Rashad Bateman. I've mentioned them all before, and my typical breakdowns, guys that I really like. We're gonna be at a good spot. And again, we've got $57. Most everyone else has significantly less than that. There's only one person, or I guess a couple of people, $82 and $75 that have what I would call at this point in time significantly more funds than us. And I'm just waiting to nominate a player that I really like. Really, that's the main thing at this point in time. I want to see what Darren Waller goes for. Again, George Kittle went for 16. That was a very, very good value. I should have gotten in on that. Maybe if Kyler Murray is the nomination here, I'll play around with it a little bit. As far as the next quarterbacks, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, we're not even going to bother with this one. Okay, yeah, he's going to go for $12. And I would be shocked if somebody puts more money on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, given how disappointing he has been these last couple of years. So yeah, he's going to go for $12, and then we're going to focus on another nomination. Hopefully it's a quick one. Players at this point in time that maybe I regret having invested in a little bit earlier. I mean, I don't want to say regret because Keenan Allen is a very good player. We got him at $34. But again, when you compare him 34 and Mike Williams at 13, that's where it's like, I feel a little bit bad about that one. But Aaron Jones, Zeke, Travis Etienne, I like the values we got there. Darren Waller just got nominated. All right, let's see if we can get in on the Darren Waller sweepstakes here, if you will. I imagine he's going to go for more than $16 for what George Kittle went, which I'm a little bit upset about. Should have been on the George Kittle run as well. I'll go to 18, and then if he goes for more than that, then we'll be fine passing up on him. So he's going to go for, I think we'll end up getting him. So yeah, we get him for $2 more than George Kittle. I actually do have him in PPR formats ranked a little bit ahead of George Kittle, not by much, but nonetheless ahead of George Kittle. So yeah, look at our roster so far. Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones, Zeke, Darren Waller, Travis Etienne. I think it's a solid team. We've got a potentially top 5 guy at tight end. So that's a good spot to be in. Jalen Hurts here, another high upside guy. So maybe just to kind of put some finishing touches here on our roster, I'll draft him at $9. Let's see if we can nab him at that spot. And we kind of wrap this thing up. We'll still have a wide receiver to add, but in terms of our money, like our max bet is still $22. So I feel really, really good about that. We'll be able to land like, an Allen Robinson easily, a Rashad Bateman easily. But again, like getting a Jalen Hurts, who I'm personally not as in on as other people are, but for $9 and for the sake of, kind of wrapping up our roster, I feel very good about it. But yeah, overall, let's kind of give this thing a grade. Oh, and it's our turn to nominate someone. So this is perfect. Wide receivers, Allen Robinson. That's exactly what I was waiting for. I'm going to nominate him, and then we are going to bounce. We're going to wrap this thing up once we get him, because I know for a fact we're going to get him. And then we can, assuming we get Allen Robinson on the team, Keenan Allen Robinson, yes, we're not going to take it to the point where we fill out our bench, but we would be adding wide receiver depth at that point. Again, the fact that I'm going to get Allen Robinson here for $7 is an absolute steal. I love that value. Awesome. Kind of makes up for the Keenan Allen value. So awesome there. If I had a little bit more patience, I would have gone and with a quarterback that I like more than Jalen Hurts. But again, for the sake of kind of wrapping this thing up, so it's not 2 hours, we filled out our starting roster. We've got our starting running backs. We've got our starting tight end. I think this is a solid team. I think it's a solid team, and we're still in a good spot. In terms of our funds, we can still probably make a couple more splashes. So this is a good spot to be in. Hopefully, it was kind of useful for you guys to kind of, from some regards, strategies, things like that. If you guys have more specific questions, always let me hear them in the comment section. I will, like every single year, do a breakdown of, how to dominate your auction drafts, things like that, strategies, personal strategies that I use. So they're a little bit more easier to find. But hey, in the meantime, again, if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, now available for purchase. Details in the description. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.